What's up everybody, it's KelseeBrianaJai here with a video on NARS's new concealer. NARS just released the Soft Matte Complete Concealer, so I decided to pick it up, of course, because if you guys watch any of my videos where I do any kind of makeup, any type of favorites, then you know that my favorite concealer of all time is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Like, you know that, no questions, hands down, that's my baby. So when NARS came out with a new concealer, I was like, absolutely, I have to try it. Let's see how it compares to this concealer. So on one side I have the new concealer, and then on the other side I have my old faithful. So you guys probably can't tell the difference, or can you? Before we jump into that comparison, I do want to go ahead and review this concealer for anybody who's interested in grabbing this one. The name of this concealer is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and I picked mine up from Sephora. This retails for $30. It is in the NARS traditional packaging. This concealer does come in a pot, and you open it up and here's your product. It has that traditional NARS packaging, you know, like that really rubberized packaging where it gets kind of dirty whenever you touch it. We expect that from NARS, and that's what they gave us here. And then the container is really thick plastic. So this concealer has 16 shades in its arsenal, which is the same as the Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'm going to do swatches of the new concealer with the old concealer right next to it. So like the new concealers all have the same names as the old concealer, so it's not a new name formula, and the colors look pretty much similar. If you know which concealer name you wore in the Radiant Creamy Concealer, it pretty much should look the same in the new Soft Matte Concealer. So this concealer has a lot of different claims, and I wrote down some notes, so I'm going to go ahead and read them all to you. The Soft Matte Concealer says that it is a very natural concealer that's going to give you a very matte look. It's a very smoothing concealer. It gives a really natural look, but it still gives you very full coverage, and I really like that because it's hard to do that without having a thick concealer. And also, a lot of times people are scared of concealers in jars because you're thinking, oh my gosh, this concealer is going to be so thick, and this one is not. This concealer is very lightweight, and I do really love it because it gives you full coverage without feeling full coverage on your face, which is really important. So some of the claims that this concealer makes is that it is a soft focus, smoothing, blurring concealer, and I agree. When I apply the concealer, it's very soft in texture. I've not felt another concealer that feels like this, and it's very smooth, but it doesn't feel oily. It's definitely oil free, which I like because sometimes oily concealers will crease underneath my eye area, and I don't like that. In this container, like a regular concealer, but the texture of it feels like velvet. Very smooth, very soft, very blurring. It has like soft edges, so it's going to give you a nice, beautiful blurred look, so almost like a filter wherever you apply it. Straight from the NARS website, it says that optical diffusion powder helps maximize light diffusion with spherical surface powders designed to absorb and refract light for a soft focus. Also, it says that this concealer has advanced powders with a unique structure, and it lays flat and stays in place without settling into lines and pores. And some of the long-term benefits of using this concealer are softer, smoother skin. The benefits of this concealer are with long-term use, you are supposed to notice a difference in your actual skin. So that's really cool that they added in some skincare benefits. This concealer also has collagen in here, so it's going to have boosting peptides and hyaluronic acids to reduce the look of wrinkles and fine lines. And this is really important, especially underneath your eyes, because that's where I have the majority of my fine lines and wrinkles. And a lot of times some concealers can just really settle in there and emphasize it, and that's the opposite of what we're trying to do, because we want to conceal them, we don't want to see them. Like I said earlier, you guys know that I am the Radiant Creamy Concealer queen. I've gone through so many different of these tubes. This is my holy grail concealer, so no other concealer is going to take this place, but I do like to have alternatives because sometimes I do like to switch it up. So I've never reviewed this concealer on my channel. I've just always spoken very highly of it, but this concealer does have some great benefits to it as well. Like the name states, it is a Radiant Creamy Concealer, so it's very radiant and it's very creamy. It's going to glide wherever you put it, and it's going to give you full coverage as well, but the texture is so different than this. Like, this one is a traditional creamy concealer, and this one feels very velvety, so I think this one is the more unique of the two because I've never tried a concealer that feels like velvet like that one. I've always loved the texture of this concealer. It feels really moisturizing. It blends really well. It doesn't settle into my fine lines. But a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with this concealer because some people say that it's too drying, but I have really dry under eyes and I never have that issue with it. It always just gives me a nice flawless look underneath my eyes. Every time I don't use it, I can definitely see the difference between this concealer and any of the other ones that I have, and I prefer this one over all of them. This is a medium buildable concealer, meaning you can build this up from medium to high coverage, which I really love about this, so you don't have to start out with high coverage. This concealer starts out at high coverage, so if you really want to sheer it out, you would need the most microscopic amount to get a really lightweight look. But this one, a few dots and you're going to get a really nice wash of concealer that's going to brighten you up. This concealer also has light diffusing technology to give you a softer look, but it doesn't say anything about powders to give you like any spherical look by softening up like this one. And also the Radiant Creamy Concealer claims to be crease proof and this one does not. As far as which one I prefer, honestly, I really like them both. I have obviously not tested this concealer as extensively as I have this one. Just by me trying it right now, I can tell you that this concealer is not going to replace this concealer, but I do really love this concealer and will use it in my everyday rotation. But it's just something about this concealer that just makes me feel flawless. But this concealer really was giving it to me. So right now underneath my eyes, I do have on the Radiant Creamy Concealer and then I have on the Soft Matte Concealer, so you guys can see the difference. I'm not telling you which one it is yet. You'll see that in the technique, but you can just continue to look underneath my eyes. That's where I applied the concealers and you can see like which one you prefer. I got the shade Ginger in the new concealer, so I got my Radiant Creamy Concealer in Ginger as well, so the colors are the same. But I typically wear Biscuit in this concealer, but the Biscuit for the new Soft Matte Concealer was a little bit too dark for me for an under eye concealer. I feel like that's one of the very few shades of the new Soft Matte line that really differs from the Radiant Creamy Concealer. The other shades pretty much are consistent and they look similar to the original formula of concealer that NARS has. So I swatched all of the concealers in my Sephora. No, I did not buy them. So I have on one side the Soft Matte Concealer and then on the other side I have the Radiant Creamy Concealer. So if you're looking at it on the phone, the Soft Matte Concealer on the pictures is going to be swatched to your left and the Radiant Creamy Concealer is going to be swatched to your right, and that way you can see what each shade in the line looks like in comparison to each other and you can make your decision there. And immediately following that, I'm going to do a demo showing you guys what the concealer applies like and you can see which side is which, and I hope that you all enjoy. I have on no concealer right now. On this side I'm going to do the new NARS concealer and on this side I'm going to do the old but goodie NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So I'm going to take my Marc Jacobs the conceal brush and go straight into the concealer and apply. And then I'm going to go in with my dampened beauty blender and blend that out. Ooh. going to take the Radiant Creamy Concealer and apply it on this side. So straight in with the applicator. As you guys can see, this is what the concealers look like unset in its raw form. So I have my foundation on and I apply the concealer on top of my foundation. The Soft Matte Complete Concealer is living up to its namesake. It is very soft, very matte. It almost looks like cashmere underneath my eyes. It definitely has blurred all of my fine lines and it looks very smooth. And I feel like this side of my face looks more plump underneath the eyes, which is a good thing because I feel like really plump under eyes represent youthfulness and it looks really nice and delicate almost. This side also represents what the namesake is. It is very radiant, very creamy. I can definitely see where the concealer is here and I feel like this side is just a little bit more seamless and it blends in with my foundation a little bit more without having to set it with powders or anything like that. I definitely feel like it just is a little bit more flawless and I actually really am liking this one. I still absolutely love my Radiant Creamy Concealer. This one gives a very different vibe. So I'll let you guys see the difference. And you can tell me which you prefer in the comment section. So I'm going to set both sides with the Laura Mercier translucent powder and using the same technique that I always do. I dip straight in with my beauty blender and then go straight in and set it. And I press the product in. And this really ensures the longevity of my concealer. And you have to make sure that your concealer is all the way blended out first because it will set like little lines if it's not completely smooth. So just make sure you do that first. So now I'm going to finish off the rest of my face. I will have all of my makeup details down in the description box. So if you are interested in anything I have on now, you can check there and it will list everything. So I will be right back. So I hope that this video was helpful for anyone who is interested in picking up the new NARS concealer. I love it. It looks gorgeous and I really can't tell too much of a difference which one is which underneath my eyes now that I have my makeup applied. But thank you so much for watching my video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. I will have all of my other social media listed down below as well. So if you're interested in following me there, I will have that there. And I will talk to you guys in my very next video. Smooches. Bye.